Foundation videos.
Tips on Drawing Using a Grid, Part 2, with Special Agent Vanessa De Groot.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me. It's Vanessa from Kind Hearted Studio. I'm so excited to be having this opportunity to teach you online. It really is one of my passions, and so thank you for allowing me to do this with you. If you have access to a Q-tip, or if you have access to a blending tool, just have that on. So if you don't have a picture of the draft, just grab your phone or a recording device of some sort and take a picture. Here is our giraffe, right? And what we want to do is we want to look at the image of the giraffe. So if I look here, what are my lightest areas and what are my darkest areas? And how do I blend that up? So we're going to start with the light space and build it up. So we'll start to just kind of shade in the nose, grab, your HB pencil or maybe a 2B. I am going to grab a B. And we're going to start at the mouth here. So all we're going to do is we're just going to start to shade it in. And we want to leave around the nostrils. We don't want to touch that. We want to leave that as is. And so we're just filling in the mouth here. And you're leaving around the nostrils. You're not coloring that in because that's going to be our lightest. So you're just going to fill that in. Okay, and then if you have a blender or a Q-tip, I have two different sizes of blenders, so there's a big one and a little tiny one. You're just going to take it, the blender or the Q-tip, and you're just going to smudge. Okay, you could also take your finger, wrap a Kleenex around it, and just smudge it with your finger, and that'll work as well. Okay, so can you guys see the difference between using the blender and just coloring it? Okay, so you're going to continue. If we look over on the right-hand side, it gets a little bit darker, right? So it's really, really light on this side and gets darker on that side. So we're going to build that up a little bit. So once you've got one coat on, you can just press a little bit harder. And we're just going to kind of work in this moon shape. So if that is my nose, we're just adding more color in this half moon part. So just on this side of the nostril and around here. Okay, so and this is where it's handy to have your like 2B, B, 4B pencils, because if I pick up a 2B right now, so when I say 2B, this is 2B, it's just a different density of charcoal. So it's just a little bit darker than the pencil that I was using before. Okay. And then you can take your Q-tip or smudger. All right, so if you're just joining us, I can send you the first part of the video and you can catch up with the nose that we're doing. So just maybe wait till the next step that we jump in. But you can see that it's starting to be built up, right? So if we look again at the image, and if we see if there's any parts that are highlighted, so what we mean by highlighted is where it's really, really light, we can take our eraser and come back and make some of those lighter. But we'll do that. We also have to separate and give him a mouth. So what we're going to do is you can maybe grab a 2B or a 4B or just your regular pencil, and we're gonna make a divide here for the mouth. So starting at the top. Okay, and we can make the bottom just a little bit darker too. All right, and then we're gonna fill in the nostrils. As well. Okay, so if I wanted to highlight his lip here a little bit, I could take my eraser which it's not gonna work. I'm using some newsprint, so it's not the best type of paper to be erasing. So let's move on. And we're gonna go to the top of his head. So we're gonna go back to like a 2B pencil, and we're going to shade this side of his head. So we're gonna go really light, and we'll actually shade the whole thing. So
hi, Vanessa.
yeah.
Hi, it's Ange. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a time getting Claire connected, so she's a little behind. Is there something she should start with now?
Yeah, she can just follow along with us right now, and I'll send you guys the video, and she can do the mouth after.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start on the right side here, and we're just going to kind of color on an angle down in this section. Okay, so if I and I'm doing it really loose and quick so that you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, and we'll actually color the side of his face over here too. Okay, so with your smudger or a Q-tip, you're just gonna fill that space. Okay, so you guys can see what's happening there. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is, the reason I love this smudger is because sometimes there's already residue on it. So if I come over here, it's already adding some color on its own. You guys can't see that. Now, what you could also do is just take your light pencil and just color lightly diagonal lines this way. Okay, so we want to make this a little bit darker, and this is going to be a little tiny bit lighter. If you have any strong grid lines on your drawing, you might want to just erase those a little bit. I can't because I use charcoal, so they're not going to erase. Okay, so to really build this up, at the hump here, we're going to make that darker. So you can use your regular pencil, or if you have your Bs, like your 2B, HB, 4B, I'm gonna use a 2B. or maybe a 5B. And I'm just gonna add more right on the side here of this hump. And it's gonna be kind of this triangle shape. Do you see that? So we're gonna make this darker at this top here, and it's gonna be darker along here and in this section. But we don't want it to fit right inside, so we're just gonna, we don't want hard edges, just a light, loose line. Right, because what we're doing is if we look at our image, and we look right here on this side, right above the eye, down into the eye, that's where it starts to get really dark. So we're just building up that space. And actually, the darkness can go all the way down to where it meets your eye. Okay, so you're going from the top of the hump down to the corner of the eye and then back up to his eye or the top of his head. Okay, you can get your smudger or Q-tip. Okay, and we're gonna do the same in this section. So I'm gonna take my pencil, because if we look at it, right? If we look, we see that here is a little bit darker than the top of the eye and this side of his head, right? So this is a little bit of a darker shade. So we're gonna start to build that up. So I'm gonna take my pencil and make just a bit of a curve there. And we're gonna make this section darker, and we'll go all the way up into here. Okay, so we've come up around the eye, added some shadowing. Okay, and if I take my 5B pencil and I color just on the back side, so if you don't have a 5B pencil, you're just gonna use a little bit more muscle power. Okay, and then we can just blend that in. So I will send this video to everybody, so you can watch it at your own pace if you need to, if you're falling behind. It's a lot to explain in a short time. Okay, and let's go to this side. So if we look at the picture of the giraffe, it's really dark on the right side and a bit of the left side. So what I would do is I'm going to pick up my 5B and I'm going to do about half or a third, about a third of this side dark and a little side here dark. Okay, and if I want, I could take a lighter pencil and just put that in between. So now when I take my blender, I'm gonna first do my dark area. And then I'm gonna kind of continue across. Okay. Let's go to this section here, and we're just gonna focus on the darker sections of his skin. So if we look right by his nose, right over here, we see one mark and then another mark. So we're gonna put those two in there. And they can be really any shape that you want. Let's go in and add a few more. So you can add where you think they should be. We'll do one maybe right. And you're just gonna fill those in. Okay, and these spots here are just a little tiny bit darker. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of darkness to here. Okay, there's gonna be a few things that I'm gonna let you guys do on your own. So on your own, I want you to fill in these spots, and we're gonna fill in our eyes, but we're gonna leave kind of this oval in this eye, and that's going to be left white. And then this eye, there's another oval on that side of the eye, and we're gonna leave that white as well. Actually, that, maybe if you make the oval to the right side of each eye. So that is going to get filled in. Okay, and then these are going to be filled in really dark, but you're gonna do that on your own. I want you guys to have the eyes filled in and the spaces on the neck and his hair